Welcome to Impact and Influence, the podcast for current and emerging leaders to build on leadership capability, sustainability, and purpose. This series opens the door to what's possible to build a life in leadership by design, not by default. Brought to you by REGROWTH Consultancy, powered by Flick It Over. Flick It Over is a leading electronic software platform. Flick It Over provides industry-specific solutions to improve process, client experience, and efficiencies. Make your document delivery and workflow seamless with Flick It Over.
We are back for another episode of Impact and Influence, and I'm flying solo today. And I thought I would answer a question that we get often, and that is around the structure of property management teams and the common question that we get asked around how many properties should a property manager be managing. So if you're a leader or a business owner and you're asking yourself that question, then I've got some ideas for you that I would like to challenge your thinking on, because this question of how many properties they should be managing, it's been a default question for a long time, and I guess a default metric that we measure. But at Regrowth, we really don't believe this is a one-size-fits-all conversation, because there's so many things to consider, and we don't think that portfolio size alone gives you the answer. We need to consider sustainability of your business and your team. But most importantly, if part of your plan is creating a structure that allows you to scale, then we need to consider this as well, because sustainable property management businesses aren't just structured around numbers. They're structured around revenue and profit. And that's where I want to focus today's thoughts around, is building that scale, or creating, I should say, that scale of your team around the profitability point. Because often I will hear from my clients, but such and such's team manages this many properties and such manages this. Before you compare yourself to another business, there's a few other things I'd like you to consider. These are the things that affect capacity and performance of your team. Things like experience levels of each of your team members, because if I've been in doing this longer, I should be able to do more. It's also about considering the location and the demographic of your portfolio. Perhaps it's also the types of properties that you manage, because obviously units versus houses makes a huge difference. You also need to consider the tech stack that you have available for your team, and most importantly, the expectations of your clients and the expectations of you as a business owner around client experience and the standards that you would like your team to deliver. Because two businesses can have the same number of properties, but completely different expectations of client experience, which means the same number can feel manageable in one business, but completely unsustainable in another. So think about what your client experience ethos is, and then factor in your growth plans. What does the next 5 years look like for your business? Maybe it's 10-year planning, but what does success look like for you? And again, that doesn't always have to be the magic number of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. But if growth is part of your strategy, and the structure needs to come into play, because it's not about creating a structure that works just for today. It's about building a structure that can scale without breaking. There's something else I want you to consider, and that is not every property that is managed in your portfolio contributes the same amount of value to your business in terms of revenue. So knowing your numbers really matters when we're talking about this scaling and structuring your business around profitability. So do you understand your AAMI? So your average annual management income, because understanding this gives you clarity around which properties are profitable and which ones are costing you money, and then knowing the decisions that you can make from that information. Because if you know your numbers, you can make more informed decisions. And then look at how that structure can be effective. So instead of how many properties can one person manage, let's reframe that question entirely and look at how much revenue and profit can this portfolio support. When we look at it this way, and just as a note, this is per portfolio, not just at a department level. When we look at that, we can then start to make decisions around capacity of people. And we believe we can then start to have conversations and look at the drivers around a PM pathway. So as your portfolio's revenue grows, remembering profitability remains intact, and your team members are building their skill set, they can start to take on more responsibility. And as they build skill set and their responsibility, and I suppose their ability to take that on changes, the structure around them should evolve as well. And that support can look different, but it should look different over time. So as they grow and revenue grows, we can then put into play field services or inspection support, remote professionals or specialized admin roles. And maybe this is shared to start with across two people, but then again, as that portfolio grows, that property manager, gets their own individual support. Because the key here is to really shape that traditional property manager role and change the thinking of what their skill set needs to entail and what their role really is. Because I believe that they should be more into that experienced, expert, service-driven investment manager. So staying in the office, high client touch points, relationship-driven. That way you're not paying your most experienced people to do the low-value work. So I'm still not going to put a number out there because your business really does need a personalized approach. But the distinction here is profitability is your benchmark for when support is introduced to your team, not just portfolio size, because this approach gives you the chance to assess competencies of your people properly. It allows you to improve efficiencies and create workflows and processes to support that. You can leverage technology better. You can strengthen client relationships. And I think most importantly, it gives your team clear pathways to grow and progress through property management roles. So let's shift the conversation from numbers to numbers that matter and focus on profitability. And we're not here to tell you that there's just one way to structure your PM team, because there isn't. We're just here to challenge your thinking and give you diversity of thought and I suppose options to consider. So if you're listening to this today and you really do want to review your numbers and explore some different options for what the right structure for your property management team could look like, we would love to have a conversation with you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Impact and Influence. Click follow to get notified about future episodes. Leaving a review helps others find the podcast. And to learn more about our courses, our study tours, conferences, keynote topics, and our services, or how simply we might be able to help support you in taking you to places you never thought possible, please visit regrowthkyliewalsh.com. Impact and Influence, brought to you by REGROWTH Consultancy, powered by Flick It Over. Flick It Over is a leading electronic software platform. Flick It Over provides industry-specific solutions to improve process, client experience, and efficiencies. Make your document delivery and workflow seamless with Flick It Over.